Hermetic laws. The Hermetic laws are the principle by which the structure of the universe and everything known is governed, and how truly it works. In simple words, what are the rules of the game in the life we live day by day? These principles are 7 in total. The more we know about them, the clearer we'll be able to see the quantum mechanism of our reality, and our understanding of the all will increase. Documented thousands of years ago by the great Hermes Trismegistus, the 3 times great, we here to study the following law of polarization. This principle teaches us that everything has its pairs and opposites. Everything has its extremes, meaning that what is the same and what is completely different are exactly the same things, only different in these degrees, depending on what it is. This difference can be small or large, but even the most extreme poles can ever touch each other. Isn't the cold sometimes so strong that it burns? Haven't you ever go from loving someone deeply to hating them just like that? Now let's see the mechanism. This law teaches us that not all truths are absolute, since there are half-truths, and theses and antitheses are the same things, just as good and bad are. Everything, absolutely everything, has its opposites, and as they are different degrees of the same things, this extreme can reconcile, touch, and become so similar that it becomes imperceptible to understand what it is and what is not. You may be still confused, so let's look at the practical examples. Imagine an example as a bar going from the left to the right. One of the side is a negative, and the another side is the positive. Between a tall person and a short one, the only difference is height. Between something is hard and something that is soft, only is the state of solidification changes. The same happens with the darkness. The brighter the light, the more darkness disappears. If the light goes out, like the sun hiding, the darkness begins to bloom away. If we take a thermometer that measures in degrees, we will observe and understand that the cold and heat are not unequal. They are exactly the same things, only varying on degrees. Listen again. The cold and the heat is the same things, varying in degrees. The more degrees, the hotter it is. The fewer degrees, the colder it is. Likewise, but the other way around, where exactly the heat starts and the cold ends is imperceptible. If we constantly walk to the south, don't we eventually start traveling in a way to bring us to the north? If we play the musical note A and continue with the scale, won't disappears again? If we are in complete silence, a sound occurs. When it ends, what appears? Silence again. Let's suppose we have a very sharp knife, and after using it so much, it starts to wear out. The knife isn't different. It's just a change their sharpest level. Sharp dull. The same thing happened with the colors. They are the same. It just changed the level of vibration, and by doing so, their hue changes. The colors are the same. We can define in the same way everything we consider as good and bad. If we see it on the scale, the more good is something is, the less bad it will be. Or, of the more bad something is, the lower its degree of goodness will be. However, this is subject to the truth of we observe it, and the concept of good and bad changes. Remember that there is no absolute truth, only half-truths. And the electricity, the positive and negative pole, they are the same, but with an immense difference of degree between them, very giant. In action, and someone who is constantly exercising refers to the same things functioning in different poles. All these examples are only a material level. Now, let's look on the mental plane. A person who has never studied starts doing so and learns so much that they have become wise. Is the person different? No, they just change the degree of wisdom and knowledge they possess. But if this person has an accident and loses their memory, does the string of wisdom move to the other and they lose everything that they learn? This person is very wise, suffer an accident, and lose directly all the knowledge, that one extreme to another one, to the pole to another. Remember the example of love. You love someone at the maximum of your potential with all your soul. Something happens on this relation and you start to hate them, but start that moment to another one immediately. So, this works by the law of polarity. What's happened when this person is scared, is cowardly, but in the face of injustice change and become so brave? They lose their perception of degree of dangers and react completely wrong way. Brave, coward. Do you understand now? This mechanism does, however, have one fundamental limitation that is important to understand. Everything can be changed from one extreme to another, yes, but never into something unequal. That is, sounds cannot turn into light, or color cannot turn into something wide or narrow. It is necessary to understand this. Now let's reveal a very important part of principle of polarization. If we understand the same things have their polarities, nature tends to go toward the positive extreme of each other, since that everything has its positive and negative, for a lack of a better term. It is mean that if a person feels sad, which the understanding of this law, they can transmute that feeling into the happiness. Sadness, happiness is going to push of degree. Someone will feel completely fearful become a brave, and what this is even better to more powerful. That is, the principle can be transmitted by induction from one mind to another one. how this is work. If a person who feels bad spend enough time next to someone who mentally is in a much higher vibration, such as calm, peace, or will be, due to the nature of moving toward the positive and vital law of superior energy dominating the inferiors, higher vibration dominate the lower ones. The person with feel bad is beginning to repolarize and change the degree of what they feel until it turns to something positive. For the same reason, if we face different type of problem in our current life, and we will spend time with the people who are in the same or worse condition, what do you think will happen? The law of polarization will make us vibrate like them. That is why controlling the environment is fundamental. If you are in the negative pole, unhealthless, unpleasantness, alcoholics, excess weight, scarcity, and you spend time with a healthy, pleasant, sober, fit, abundant person, this will change from the one pole to another. Remember, the positive energies dominate negative ones. I recommend them listening this again and reflecting on its proper understanding and application, as the secret contained in this great law will give you the power to dominate and control your emotions and not become slave of them.